Hi, favored ones. Welcome to Soul Talk. Our guest for today is Totanes. So I'm so excited that he's here. It has been quite a long time since I last talked to him. But let me just introduce you, si Von. Von is the director of the Rizal Library at Ateneo de Manila. And he's really into the sa academe talaga siya. He, ang taas na ng mga degrees nito eh. He has finished his PhD at the University of Toronto, earned his master's degree at UP, and undergrad degree at Ateneo. And I'm not surprised that he's a graduate of Management Engineering or ME. So let's all welcome Von today. And kamusta ka, Von?
Okay naman. Hi, everyone.
I'm really
like
excited.
most of you, I'm working from home.
Kamusta
I
na nga ba
think
sa
I'm
Ateneo?
okay naman kami. Wala pa ring pasok physically.
Yes, understandable.
I think like most people, I am getting lockdownitis.
Oh, that's a term. Pero how is it ba? Kasi you work at the Rizal Library, and di ba normally in a library, people would really go to the library to borrow books and all that. But now that it's siguro naman close ang campus, di ba?
Yes.
How do students and the faculty get to access the materials inside the library?
Thank you for asking that question, because that's the most normal question. And even some parents will even ask, why are we paying a library fee when the library is closed? Okay.
Oh so my gosh, that's a miscellaneous fee yan eh.
My standard answer is that kailan po ba kayo graduate ng college? Okay, because during our time in the 90s, well, ewan ko kung ano, depende kung kailan graduate yung mga viewers. Okay. In the 90s, pag nag-brown out, labas lahat ng tao sa library kasi walang ilaw. Okay. But now, kahit mag-brown out, actually tuloy ang service ng library. And in fact, it's actually 24/7, even before lockdown. So what do I mean?
I didn't realize that.
What do I mean? Well, there's of course the catalog. The online catalog, you can search it on the website. You can look for the books that you need, but only, diba, if you want to borrow a book so that, parang when you get to campus, you can look for it. But now that the campus is closed, what exactly are we serving to our users? We have our online databases where faculty and students can borrow ebooks, download journal articles, and even watch movies.
Amazing. Iba na talagang panahon ngayon.
And then our reference librarians are answering questions officially from 8 to 5. Pero kanya-kanyang gising din yan. Or kanya-kanyang tulog. So some of our librarians who are very young, sinasabayan nila yung mga estudyante. So yung mga estudyante magtatanong ng mga 1 a.m. And magugulat sila kasi sumasagot din yung librarian at 1 a.m.
Kaya pala it's 24/7.
Yes.
My gosh. Oo. But how is
and whether
it?
It's pwedeng Facebook, Twitter, email, sumasagot yung mga librarian.
A lot of channels talaga to communicate with the librarians.
So we've been actually very blessed that we were actually ready for lockdown. Faculty and students can use our resources from off campus talaga. How has it been?
Oo, how is it? How is work from home? Tad-tad ba sa Zoom meetings?
May mga araw na talagang sunod-sunod. Tapos may mga araw na, wow, wala. So, depende. Pero ang hirap ang hirap ng work from home. Naghahanap ako ng pwesto kung saan ako productive.
Mm-mm.
'Di ba? Kasi iba yung feeling na you get up in the morning, you dress up, and you go to work. 'Di ba? Kasi medyo somewhere in between you get the feeling na, I'm going to work.
Mm-mm. It's
Eh,
like prepping yourself up,
oo. I cannot stay in my room. Otherwise, I will just sleep. So
That's understandable.
what I've learned now is, after I have breakfast, kukunin ko na yung laptop ko, dadalhin ko siya dun sa dining room, and then that's where I will start working. Kasi at least, pagka medyo na-bore na ako dun sa ginagawa ko, when I stand up, lang yan refrigerator lang yan, or I'll get something to drink, I'll go to the CR, mga ganyan. But at least, medyo malayo-layo yung kama na I have to go upstairs to get to my bed. So in that case, medyo
Controlled environment.
medyo nako-control ko yung yon, and it's easier to get back to work.
That's true. Pero I can understand the challenges of working from home, especially that you're in a leadership position. You really have to, still communicate with a lot of people.
Oh, yes.
Oo. Pero as a director sa library, what is it that you love best about it?
Ano ba? What I love best about my work is getting people excited about the library. which is not normal. Okay? Because people think the library is so boring. 'Di ba? So how do you get students excited about the library? 'Di ba? How do you get faculty excited about the library? It's not easy. But it helps to have a sense of humor. And then what happens is that, if you connect boring resources, for example, to something that faculty and students want every day, and put a little humor in it, even if you only do it once in a while, medyo nagkakaroon ng impression yung faculty and students that, the library is their friend. And yun na yung yun na yung pinaka-philosophy ko Na parang if I can get faculty and students to think of the library as their friend, then they're going to be more likely to be open to seeing na, oh hey, I can actually do this pala. Meron palang ganito sa library. Thank you very much. 'Di ba? Parang well, it's like normal friendships. 'Di ba? We're willing to listen a little longer to our friends who are not making sense, or who seem to be talking about something we don't really need to know about, but sige na nga, dahil kaibigan kita, makikinig ako. 'Di ba?
Ang bait mo naman.
Yon. And just to cite one example, medyo may konting, actually we haven't done this in a long time, but yung April Fool's Day, one of the most successful things we did was several years ago, but people still remember it. Okay. Na on April Fool's Day, ayan na nga, medyo nandiyan na yung punchline. We said that, the Rizal Library is subscribing to Netflix. Okay. But you cannot access it on campus because we want you to watch Netflix when you're relaxing, di ba? So we want you to have fun with Netflix. So when you're on campus, we want you to use the library resources as usual. But when you're off campus, sige, manood kayo ng Netflix. Oh, and that was a very long post. And at one point we said, oh, Netflix, well, we quoted Wikipedia. Okay. In this very long post. And at the end of the post, it said, this offer expires at midnight at the end of April 1. Yun. So maraming na-gets nila, and then sabi nila, yeah, when I read the reference to Wikipedia, I got it right away. Na parang, why is the Rizal Library citing Wikipedia, etc. But a lot of people did not get it. They actually wrote to the librarians and said, how do we access Netflix?
Hindi siguro binasa yung buong post.
Hindi binasa ng buo. I mean, they just read the headline.
Yes.
And forgot that it was April 1. Yung mga ganun.
Nakakatawa siguro yun. Kanino ba nanggaling yan? Pero how are you led to, kasi coming from ME, diba? It's really business. Tapos you took up masters sa UP in library and information.
Library and information science, yes.
What made you decide to take up this master's degree? Parang naisip mo ba na mag-work ako sa library?
Well, now we're getting into serious matters. Because my one-word answer to your question is discernment.
It's so Ignatian.
Oo. Okay, so what happened was I resigned from my first job. Okay, so I was at BPI for 4 years. So corporate. And I wanted to become a Jesuit.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But at the end of 1 year of discernment, it was clear that we were better off as friends, not married. Oh, di ba?
Yes.
Yon. And I left for Cebu for 1 year. And I taught in Ateneo de Cebu High School. And then I went back to Manila, and then I was wondering, ano nga bang gagawin ko sa buhay ko? Okay. And so I started the discernment process, and I asked myself 2 questions. The first was, what do I really like doing? Okay. And then the second one, what do I see myself doing 10 years from now? The answer to the first question was, I like reading books. Okay. And I was like, but there's no career in reading books. Even if I could find a job, as a book reviewer, diba? I don't think I'm gonna get paid a lot of money.
Okay.
To read books and write a review. Okay. But as I reflected further, naisip ko, actually grade 2 pa lang ako, laman na ako ng library.
Oh.
As in araw-araw. There was a point in grade 4, I was borrowing three Hardy Boys books every day and returning them the next day, finished. And borrowing 3 more. Okay.
My gosh,
and I was
amazing.
reading a book during recess, during lunch, on the way home. Okay, yung mga ganon. But anyway, so ko talaga, mahilig sa libro. And I thought, meron bang mga master's degree ang mga librarian na yan? Because I was thinking, how do you transition from management engineering to being a librarian? And well, thankfully may Google na noon. And konting Google lang, meron nga silang masters. And the best place to do it was UP. So I applied for the masters, finished it in 1.5 years, and started working. No, wait. Before I started working, I got the I took the, what do you call it? The
The board.
licensure exam.
Oo.
Okay. So there's a PRC board exam for librarians. And so I passed it and started working at ADB. Oh.
Oh. Sa bagay, kailangan magkakalog doon.
There's an ADB library. But I was there for only 1 year, and then I moved on to teach at UP's School of Library and Information Studies for 1 year, and then I went and left for my PhD at University of Toronto. And in 2012, 10 years later, I returned to Manila and started being director of the Rizal Library. So I in some ways it answers the question yung 10 years later. Okay, but actually when I asked that question, what can I see myself doing 10 years later? It was, parang 10 years on the job. Diba? Parang yung feeling ko na tatagal ako dun sa trabaho ng 10 years. And right now I'm on my 9th year.
At the Rizal Lib?
At the Rizal Library.
Sa bagay.
Well, going on the
9th
year. By next year, magte-10 years na. So let's see.
Oh my God.
Okay pa naman siya so far.
By next year, dapat pala mag-congratulate na ako sa'yo.
So it's been that long.
Pero it's, parang you sharing that journey, it really showed the hand of God on
yes,
how
yes.
you how important discernment is, and for you actually listen to that sa mga nakukuha mo from discerning. And and it takes a lot of discipline as well to stay true to your path. 'Di ba? Kasi hindi mo naman talaga nakikita 'di ba? Parang after the masteral at UP, ADB, then nagturo, and then PhD. So you were just led. Parang was it really planned?
No plans.
No plans. So you were really led towards that path.
Actually my life is a long series of no plans that seem to look like a plan. Okay, even management engineering was not planned. It was one of those things na parang I was asking my third year high school moderator na, "Ma'am, ano bang course ang kukunin ko?" Sabi niya, "Well, mukhang kaya mo naman, so why not try management engineering kasi magaling ka naman sa math." And then I think either she said or somebody said na at least if you get into management engineering, if you want to shift out, it is going to be easier to shift to something else. Yung ganon. So I was like, okay, sige, game. And then natanggap, and I was like, okay. And then by the time I was in third year college, ito na yung point na we're supposed, there's kumbaga, if you get past the first semester of third year, there's something called the Sure ME graduate. I was like, okay, it's first year, it's first sem, third year. Do I really want to be an ME graduate? I was thinking, well, saan ba ako mag-shift? Sige lang nga, tapusin na lang natin ito.
Total naman kaya mo.
Okay lang, di ba? I wasn't all that great, but I wasn't bad either. And so yun, nakagraduate, and I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Hindi ko rin alam, di ba? And then I got this offer from City Trust, and it was actually a good position. Yung parang I actually applied. I submitted an application because they invited me to apply. I was thinking, sige, apply lang ako ng apply para when I get to that company where I really want to work, may experience na ako. And but when they called me in, I was expecting, parang they did get me for a finance job or something. But I was thinking, I don't want to count other people's money. No offense to the bankers, but
Yes.
I was thinking, sige, most likely, interview lang to, and then goodbye. Okay. And then I found out, when we were talking, they wanted me to join them in service quality. Okay, there's such a thing as service quality in City Trust. And it was basically making sure that the clients were served well. Okay, so there's an element of you have to handle complaints, but there's also the bigger picture, annual customer satisfaction survey. Yun, and I was thinking, if I can be of service to others in a bank and get paid for it, wow. Di ba? Parang I'm still helping other people. Di ba? Yun. And that was I think God's hand. Yun.
So what you're saying is that parang you wanted to serve other people through
that's
the work.
That's actually my mission in life, to serve. Diba?
Oh, that's so nice.
And so from City Trust to BPI to becoming a librarian, when I started at Rizal Library, I was telling people that, hey, I got this job because I have a PhD and I am a librarian. But I was not working as a librarian. I'm not working as a librarian right now. I'm an administrator. And so, in 2012, I was telling my friends, actually, yung management engineering ang ginagamit ko dito sa trabaho.
Oh.
Because I am dealing with numbers. Okay, so there's the budget, there's people, and actually, what I think I learned most in ME was the marketing side.
Yes.
So what I've really been doing the past years is I've been selling the library. And mukhang bumebenta naman.
Kaya pala, what you love best about it is getting people excited about the live.
Yes.
So that's where the business comes in, yung sa pagiging admin.
Yes.
Oh, that's parang the commonality of all your work is really to serve other people. And now that you're in this role, what you're actually using is the undergrad degree that you have earned.
And something I learned from the service quality position, my corporate position, was to welcome complaints. Diba? Because complaints tell you na, hey, there's something wrong. And so sa akin, bago pa lumaki yung problema, ayusin na natin. Because one complaint is probably a symptom of many other complaints that have not yet been made. Yun.
Yes.
So actually, all my jobs were very helpful in preparing me for this role that I have now.
And the Rizal Library is parang very high-tech na siya ngayon, unlike before. Kasi I am a graduate of 2003. So iba pa yung Rizal Lib back then. So under your
Medyo mas
leadership,
computerized na nga nung panahon
oo,
mo.
a little. May konting
Little.
catalog na. May konting catalog na. Pero right now, it's really high-tech. Tapos maganda rin yung the infrastructures. So that's really great. A great way to pull people in, to pull students in the library.
Yes.
Ang galing naman
But actually, in
nun.
terms of pulling people into the library, one of the first things I did was, let's make the library more inviting. Because if students never go to the library, di ba? How do I sell them on all the other things we can do for them? Yon. So medyo
You
naging
have a point
yan.
there. You have a point there. I remember the library as being quite whitish and grayish. But now it's so colorful. It's really colorful.
Yes.
So
And we have before lockdown we were allowing students to hold events at the 5th floor. Kumbaga yung 5th floor was the noisy place, di ba?
Of the library where you could socialize.
Events. Yes, you can have events. And when there's no event, well actually mostly during the day, it's an open study area where people can talk to each other. Pwedeng group study. And so there were many people who like going there. And yun na nga, as they go through the library, they can see na, uy, okay pala dito, I can study here and ganyan. And then, if their teacher says, oh, you should look for this book or get this article, then it's so easy for them na, well, I'm at the 5th floor every day anyway, I might as well go and get this thing that the teacher is talking about. So that's easy. Hindi yung I never go to the library. Wag na lang. I'll look for some other thing to study or I'll wait for my classmate to Xerox it for me. Mga ganyan.
Oo.
Yun.
Oo. Pero I have this question. What are the attitude or the values that you have that really prepared you for the role? It's hindi ka nga librarian, di ba? Kahit na license. It's more of an administrator role.
Yes.
So, ano yung values and attitudes that really, help you to be, the best administrator that you could be to serve the community?
I think my first job has a lot to do with this, di ba? That because that's what I learned in my first job. It's to put myself in the shoes of the customer. That's what I learned on my first job. But now it's when I became a librarian, I was like, well, I can understand why users don't like going to the library. Yeah, because it just looks so unappealing, 'di ba? And then ang sungit ng librarian, yung mga ganyan.
Very quiet, no?
Buti nga sana kung quiet lang, sinusungitan pa yung mga students diba? So when I got to the Rizal Library, I was like, wait, hindi natin kailangan maging masungit, diba? Let's welcome students to the library. And then there are some ridiculous examples of libraries na yung pinto pa lang sa labas, ang dami ng yung mga signs na may pula na linya, yung parang the usual
yung mga bawal.
The usual sign is no smoking, okay? But okay lang yon, hindi naman masyadong nobody expects to smoke inside the library. But in other, there was a place where quiet zone and sangkatutak na bawal lahat. Sabi ko, tanggalin natin lahat yan. Hindi pa sila nakakapasok, bawal na lahat. 'Di ba? Parang ano ba? 'Di ba? Papasukin mo muna and then maybe in the areas where it's really absolutely necessary, then let's put a quiet zone sign. 'Di ba? Hindi pa nakakapasok, parang ang impression is you are not welcome here. 'Di ba? So let's be welcoming.
That's so psychology.
Diba? Let's be welcoming at the door. Oh, and then also, I was thinking, this is the Rizal Library. But nobody actually thinks of it as the Rizal Library. Why? Because it's really just a name. Like all the other buildings with names. Okay, na there's Berkman's, Cosca, Gonzaga, and doesn't really mean anything to the students. So I was like, but that cannot be because this is Rizal. It's not just because it's Rizal Library, but it's also Jose Rizal of the Philippines, di ba? Oh, so I said, let's put a standee of Rizal as a student, at the age when he was a student. And let's say, ako si Jose Rizal, tuloy po kayo sa Rizal Library. Okay. So that's what and up to today, that's what's outside the Rizal Library. And people like that parang instead of you're not welcome here sign at the door, it's tuloy po kayo sa Rizal Library. And so we extended that all throughout. So mga ano na yan, it's not just at the door, it's in all the posters. It's Pepe who is welcoming them. Actually, mali yung sinabi ko kanina. I said ako si Jose Rizal. It's actually ako si Pepe Rizal. Welcome to the Rizal Library. Para lang clear yung connection, 'di ba? Na Rizal Library is not just a name. It's the name of Pepe Rizal, who was once a student like me.
A student
here in
of
Ateneo.
Yes.
Diba? Yon.
Ang ganda ng strategy na yan. Oo nga. Pero I love what you're sharing about the Rizal Lib and your work about it. It really shows your passion in inviting more students into the library and making it more accessible, and doon yung connection,
Yes.
yung connectedness of everyone in the community. So how would you define excellence based on your experience at work and even in your personal life?
I don't actually have a definition of excellence.
Yes, I love that.
I just do it.
Ang ganda ng That's true, That's I like the simplicity of it, because a lot of people would feel that excellence is such a profound and big word, but for you were able to narrow it down in such a simple way na just do it. Diba? Yung parang philosophy mo of no plans. You're just following your discernment. Gawin lang. Parang ang simple.
What do I mean by I just do it? Kasi for example, I'm editing a book right now. And I just keep on going over and over the manuscript, looking for things to improve. Okay. Na I know it's not good, based on experience working on my master's thesis and my dissertation, na I mean, if I keep on going over it, I will never finish.
That's
diba?
True.
Pero while I have time, diba? Because there is I have a projected deadline. While I have time, I will just keep on going over it and checking things. Okay. Yung parang the author wrote this, but can I really trust this author's memory, for example, di ba? Kasi medyo matanda na yung author. So I was like, So I'll check it. Madali naman i-Google Tama ba yung information? And then, oops, mali pala, but he keeps repeating it. And I'm like, Yon. So that's the sort of thing na, I was talking to somebody yesterday and she was saying, buti na lang chinek mo. And I was like, well, that's the sort of thing I do. I just do it. I just check.
Mm-mm.
Maybe because I'm a librarian, maybe because I'm more familiar with ways of checking facts, ganyan. But if I can do it, I just do it. And I've also been reaching out to people who remember, and they remember different things. And I'm like, oh
Oo.
no, because I remember something different. Oh. So parang now I'm still looking for additional information that will help me confirm certain facts before I actually let this go.
Pero
So
that's
yun,
the
I
ano,
mean,
no? Parang that's the researcher and the conscientious side
yes,
of you.
yes.
Di pa rin
Uh,
nawawala.
na parang ang feeling ko, nobody will notice naman if this is incorrect. Uh, but I think I have to check, and I have to get, the sources to back up certain statements. Yon.
Pero it takes a lot of discipline to do that, kasi a lot of people would really just, parang hayaan lang, let it go.
I think it's also I guess because this is my field, 'di ba?
Yes.
Uh, there are certain things I will not let slide. Okay? But if you ask me to cook, for example, and I do not cook, yung gano'n, na parang um, I imagine some chef will say, "Oh, this dish is not quite correct." Parang ganyan, 'di ba? And I will say, "Okay naman, 'di ba?" Pero kasi field niya 'yon eh. And so sa kanya, hindi pwedeng pabayaan ito. Kailangan ayusin, 'di ba? Ganyan. No, parang
Yes.
baka tawagin pa niya yung cook dun sa kusina at there's something a little wrong here. Parang may kulang na something. Ganyan. And ako, my experience when I'm reading a book and I read, I see a typo or something, parang, wow, bakit ganito? I
Published book
notice
na,
it.
ganon.
Yung nga, yung published book na parang lalo na kung kilala ko yung author and I'm like, nahihiya ako para dun sa author. Parang,
Sabi! Okay, ano
ganun.
na. Yan na that it's really your field of expertise. That's why you're able to
Yes.
spot the errors, yung mga maliliit na bagay na
May
gano'n.
ganun.
Kasi that's so funny. Pero ano, it's kasi I'm also exposed naman to the academe, 'di ba? Having taught at Lasal.
Yeah.
But then talking to you and hearing you, share yung mga ganon, para sa ko, ibang level si Von. Parang you're hitting the excellent bar. But what are the important lessons that you have learned along the way that you're imparting to the people under you? Kasi ang dami rin naman ng tao sa Rizal Lib, 'di ba? Ilan ba ang staff ngayon?
We have 20 librarians and 50 staff.
Oh, that's a lot. So
So it's a
how
lot of
how
people.
how do you lead? I mean, what are the important things that you usually impart? Kasi one, sinabi mo is being service-oriented, to be very welcoming and to put themselves into the shoes of the customers, which is
Yes.
primarily the students, di ba? But other than that, what other lessons do you also impart to them that's really very important and parang non-negotiable for you?
Ito yung ito yung ito yung medyo siguro pag tinanong mo yung mga staff ng Rizal Library, medyo baka ito yung sabihin nila kasi paulit-ulit yung kwento ko na we have to begin with the end in mind. Okay.
Okay.
Saan ba tayo papunta?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And then I basically tell them about what I hope we can accomplish together, 'di ba? And that's being welcoming to students. Okay. And then there's also the mission of the library is to facilitate learning. Okay. So I tell them, you don't have to bring everything to me. Diba? Because there will be times I will not be available, your boss will not be available, nobody will be available, but you have to make a decision. So sa akin, as long as you are guided by, will this help, diba, facilitate learning, then you have the freedom to decide right away for the benefit of the faculty or the student who needs it, diba? So parang sa akin, they have to be able to make their own decisions. And then later on, I will not, parang I keep telling them, have you had any experience where pinagalitan ko kasi you made the wrong decision, that I do not agree with the decision, yung mga ganyan. And I tell them, I may tell you that, well, maybe you should have done something else, diba? But at that point, I will respect that, I was not there, nobody else was there, you had to make a decision. Pero yun na nga, I tell them, sana medyo you're guided by certain principles, diba? And if I ask you to explain how you made that decision, that you will be able to say na, well, because of this, and not because, kasi na-pressure lang ako kasi mapilit siya Sana hindi ganon, di ba?
Oh my gosh.
But something else that, well, I can share, and which I've been sharing with parents, actually, of freshmen. Because I've also been invited to yung parang recruitment talks, di ba? There are freshmen who are, incoming freshmen who are thinking of going to Ateneo. And so I tell, when I get the chance, and kasi one of the things that we did at the Rizal Library to get people to have a positive attitude toward the library was during ASET, diba? When students take the college entrance test. I actually talked to the Office of Admission and Aid and said, would you like to invite the parents? Kasi many of them, because I learned this talking to the director of Admission and Aid at that point, na ang dami raw parents who were hanging out in the parking lots in the grade school and the high school, waiting for their children. And medyo minsan daw napapaaway sila kasi well, kawawa din yung parents kasi naiinitan sila, naiinig sila, nagugutom sila. Sabi ko, why don't you invite them to the 5th floor of the Rizal Library na naka-aircon sila, we can have some entertainment, we can, do all sorts of things, maybe even give them tours of the campus, yung mga ganyan. And they said yes. And so, naging naging institutionalized na siya every year. Before lockdown, we would expect that they would be there pag ASET. And sometimes they'd ask me, sige, ikaw naman magkwento ng na parang why Ateneo, basically. And so what I tell the parents is, if your son or daughter does not know what she wants, relax. In one word, relax. Okay. And then I tell them my story nga, di ba? Na parang, medyo napadpad ako sa management engineering because I had no idea what I wanted. Okay. And now I'm a librarian. Because, we don't have to decide right away, before college. Di ba? We have, I think, during college, we have a little time to decide, actually to make mistakes. And even after college, we have a few more years before we have to really decide. Because there's no way well, there are some people, and they're very unique, I think, and good for them. Di ba? Na
Yes.
parang grade 1 pa lang sila alam na nila, they want to be architects or doctors or, president of the Philippines. And good for them. But most of us, I think, need experience and
Tama.
and
Time.
guidance, actually,
Oo.
and time, di ba? And making mistakes to figure out where we really want to be.
That's true. Oo. I love what you said na for the parents to relax pag hindi pa alam ng mga anak kung ano yung gustong gawin. And I also, saka one thing, yung allowing your staff to make decisions for themselves.
And make mistakes also.
Yes, because it's so rare to see that. Lalo na sa academe na very bureaucratic, na talagang akyat hanggang makakuha ng decision. And yet, you're allowing people under you to make decisions on your behalf, or dahil sila yung nandun, sila yung nakakaalam ng situation.
Wait. Part of the reason I am telling them that is because nga merong tendency na ayaw magdesisyon. Diba? Because nga parang wait, bakit umaakyat lahat sa akin ito? Diba? And that's why I have to tell them, that's why you are, that's why you're the assistant director, that's why you're the supervisor, because you have to make a decision at certain points. Diba? And so sometimes I also make it clear na, yung pagka ganito, wait na lang. Diba? Kasi medyo masyado nang mataas yung level ng decision. Mga ganyan. Pero yun na nga, at your level, you can make certain decisions. No problem.
That's good. At least you've also set parameters rin to the decision making. But it's very empowering. Kasi talagang, I feel you pag meron naman decision that could be done at their level and yet maakyat mo nang maakyat. Yes. So, ang nangyayari parang dagdag. Dagdag siya na
work. And it's also a form of training. Diba?
Yes.
So that so that we can consider them for promotion later. Kasi sa akin one no is how do you promote someone who cannot make a decision?
Sabagay na naman, 'di ba? You're in a learning institute. So you have to facilitate learning. They have to learn through their work.
Also.
So
we're not just facilitating learning for the students and the faculty. We're also facilitating learning for ourselves.
There's a lot of self-growth that has to happen. Yes. And it seems that you're doing well.
I hope.
Of course. Diba? Yung parang ang ganda nga alam mo yun, minsan parang when I hear you speak, parang simpleng tao, but then meron din part na pag nandun sa expertise niya, gusto niya, yung nitty-gritty. Ganon.
Yes.
So, before we end, what could you share to those who are watching right now for them to follow their truths? Because sometimes it's so hard, especially when you don't know and when you feel that you're not guided. How do you actually follow your heart and your truth in making decisions, making choices in life?
Ignatian na naman ang isasagot ko sa'yo.
Syempre, we're very influenced by the Ignatian spirituality and all that is Jesuit.
There's no definite answer. Well, that's also very Ignatian. But I think the most helpful for me has been this guideline, not to make a decision when you are either very happy or very sad or very angry. Diba? Whenever you're in an extreme emotion or situation, that's actually not the time to make important decisions. Except for life and death. Okay, di ba? Let's set that aside. Yung tipong mga instant decisions na tatalon ba ako o hindi kasi mamamatay ako kung hindi, mga ganyan. Ibang usapan po 'yon. Pero if it's not the sort of decision that you have to make in split seconds, diba? Then the likelihood that you have, at least a few hours or a few days is high. Diba? Na parang, should I resign? Should I court this girl? Mga ganyan, or mga ganyan, di ba? Parang or should I propose marriage? Mga ganyan, di ba? Mga ano yan,
mga big questions.
Mga big questions na you have several days or even months to reflect. Sa akin, it's always good to, sige, I'll sleep on this question first. Diba? I will talk to people. I will reflect on my experiences with the company, with my, I'll think about what do I really need or like doing or want, mga ganyan. Parang yung discernment ko when I decided to become a librarian, di ba? Na parang reflect on your entire life actually, di ba? Na parang what led you to this point, and is God actually nudging you in a way towards one thing or the other, di ba? Kasi there is a lot of value in reflecting, I think, on how you got to where you are. And something for me that has been has been very helpful, okay, is that when I was younger, I was, parang very important decisions were made for me, even though I wanted to do something else. Okay. The first thing was, where am I going to school? And medyo hindi naman ako talaga aware. So syempre my parents will make that decision, yes. 'Di ba? And then slowly along the way, medyo nagkakaroon na ako ng opinions on where I want to go. 'Di ba? Pero sa akin, what was consistent was at certain points na parang there were certain things that were non-negotiable. And so of course, that left one logical decision. For example, I was accepted at UP and Ateneo. And what I'm learning now is that most students who get accepted in UP and Ateneo, as in the past, at least in the past 10 years, maybe longer, normally, most of them will go to UP. Okay, and it's kumbaga the ones who choose Ateneo are less. Pero at that point, my course for which I was accepted in UP was architecture. Okay, and in Ateneo it was management engineering. Okay. Pero kasi nga I made that choice in third year. Pero by the time the results were released, nag-physics na kami sa fourth year. And I was like, no, physics and I do not agree. So parang, sige, wag na, hindi na ako mag-UP. Definitely that leaves Ateneo. So yun, ganun lang. That's how I made that decision. Pero sa akin parang, I think, looking back, it was also very, providential that maybe God nudged me in this direction. Because ewan ko, it was in college that I bloomed. And I don't mean that I would not have had a similar blooming experience in UP if I had gone to UP. Pero iba yung ko as in ibang-iba talaga yung experience ko sa Ateneo From the people that I met to the, well, even even getting to a deeper knowledge of discernment, I don't think I would have gotten to that point if I had gone to UP. Because all the Jesuits were in Ateneo, not in UP.
Yes. Oo. I remember all the
Yun.
TO subjects and the philo subjects that we had. Seems
Oo.
like minor course na siya. Ganon. But that's a good message to share. That when it comes to decision making, you don't really need to decide immediately. Sometimes
Yes.
it's also good to wait, for you to
Oh.
wait.
And actually sometimes we think it's sometimes we think it's an urgent decision, but actually it's not. Diba? So, like for example, some employers will tell you, "Oh, you have today to tell us what your decision is." Diba? But I think you can actually negotiate that. Diba? Pwede ho bang can I have a week? Diba? Pwede naman. And I think they will respect that you want to talk to some people, learn a little more about the company, that sort of thing. So yung mga those who are going into their first job, especially, ito ang dami ko sinabihan nito, when they say, "Can you start tomorrow?" You negotiate. Diba? Pwede ho bang next week? Pwede ho bang next month? Papayag naman yan as long as your reasoning is acceptable. Diba? Kasi ako, the first time, my first job and even other jobs, I always said, pwede ho bang later? Okay? And one acceptable answer that always, gave me a little bit more room was, kasi I'm never going to have another chance to take a break before starting to work. Diba? Because I expect that once I start working, it will be difficult to go on leave for 2 weeks, 1 month, mga ganyan. Kasi mahirap na. And they can understand that because they've been in that situation where at most you will have 15 days vacation leave. So oo nga naman, if you want to have a long trip, saan ka pupunta, paano mo gagawin? So they will allow you, I think, a little bit more time. 1, to decide, or 2, before you begin anything. A new job, for example.
I can relate to that. So, hindi kailangan magmadali. Unless talagang life or death situation,
Yun na nga,
like what Paul said. And so it gives so much insight into the kind of person you are, the mind that you have, the way you think rin. So I am really grateful that you shared this time with us, shared insight with us as
and thank you
well.
for inviting me.
And
Medyo nakalimutan ko na
sabi
itong
mo
mga
pa,
to.
Ay, gano'n. But it's good. It's good that you're reminded of,
Well, yes,
reminded of,
yes.
especially when you said that your mission is really to serve. Parang that really struck a chord inside of me. Because we all serve in different ways. But for you to recognize that you're here to serve, that's already a big deal. It's a big thing.
And actually, this also helped to remind me of my own mission. Oo nga, bakit ko nga ba ginagawa ito? And yun na nga, even the things I talked about, may connection eh. So this is actually also going to help me reflect later. Thank you.
Oo nga. How do you reflect ba? Parang is it finding a quiet corner and, di ba, parang how do you personally do your discernments or reflections? Di ba? It's also a way to distress and decompress from everything that's going on.
Ideally, okay, it's the Ignatian examen, di ba? Na parang ideally, well, for Jesuits, it's 15 minutes before lunch and 15 minutes before going to sleep. Okay.
Oh.
It would be great if it can be done once a day. probably at night. Okay. Except I don't really get to do it. Okay. What happens to me is I'm constantly also just reflecting. Yung tipong,
It's part of your it's part of your
parang
consciousness.
something happens and I'm like, wait, parang nangyari rin ito kahapon. Sandali, meron bang message ito? And that usually happens, okay, when I'm driving.
Okay.
Yung tipong I'm paying attention to the road, but at the same time, medyo nag-iisip ako. And so the problem is, I'm not going out of the house. I'm not driving too much right
Yes.
now. So I'm not reflecting too much right now. Well, actually, for the past year, kumbaga.
Nagigets ko yan. Kasi di ba when we drive, minsan talaga nano-no-mind ka eh. You just drive based on your programming na. And then allowing the mind to, and the heart to reflect, to go into discernment. So I can understand where you're coming from. Habol ka na sa discernment. Well, at least this one would help you in discerning life. But thank you so much, and medyo nag-extend na tayo, but grateful for your time and everything that you have shared. So for those who are watching, remember that you're favored, you're highly blessed. So I hope that you have gained value from this conversation. And if you're curious about the Jesuit way or the Ignatian way of discernment, message me. Marami akong resources. All right. So,
yeah,
God
they're right
bless
behind
everyone.
you.
Ang daming
Kilala
books.
ko yung James Martin book sa likod.
Si Father Martin. All right. So,
Thank you very
so
much.
much. Thank you so much. And God bless everyone.